the immersive sim that put Arcane on the map. Dishonored is frankly one of the best FPS series I've played. I was inspired to make this video after playing Death of the Outsider, the expansion to Dishonored 2. I originally was only going to make a video on that, but decided fuck it, I'ma just replay it all. And now here I am. Let's talk about it. The premise is basically that you're the bodyguard to the Empress, Corvo Tano, and you were previously out on a mission to get aid from the local nations, as your nation is being ravaged by plague right now. But when you return, you bring the bad news that you're getting no help, when suddenly assassins blink in from the nearby rooftops and assassinate the Empress right in front of you. And kidnap the Empress's daughter, heir to the throne. With no assassins around, the guards come in and arrest you. You have just been framed for the murder of the Empress, and your name has been dishonored. You escape from prison right before your execution with the aid of a sympathizer who wants to help clear your name. And then you begin your mission to deal with the people who frame you. Shortly after that, however, you are greeted by a mysterious figure named the Outsider in a dream, who burns his mark into your hand, granting you special powers that will no doubt assist you in this journey. In the DLC, you actually play as Dowd, also touched by the Outsider, and the man who drove his blade into the Empress. You get to see his side of the story at the same time that Corvo is clearing his name. For the sake of spoilers, I won't reveal the premise of Dishonored 2 or Death of the Outsider, but just know that the story is excellent. All of it is excellent, and it's worth playing it for story, if not gameplay. With Dishonored 2 actually having several variations of the ending, depending on what actions you choose to take throughout the game. Think of like Fallout New Vegas's ending. Dishonored is a stealth action game with an emphasis on choice of how you want to approach each level. From rooftops to sewers to simply walking in with an invitation. There are a number of ways to approach each mission. But that's not all. There is a second layer to your choice, the choice to kill. See, Dishonored has a unique system called the Chaos system. Low Chaos has a better outcome while High Chaos has a darker outcome. Good ending versus the bad ending. It's pretty much the world reflecting your actions. What determines your chaos is two factors: how many people you kill, and specific actions you partake in for each level. For low chaos, you'll want to knock out people as opposed to killing, and maybe rejecting certain actions as they're more evil and would be more appropriate for a high chaos run. Now, how are you supposed to get from the floor to the roof? Well, with the previous mentioned magic, of course, your blink ability. This game not only has good movement, but also has the magic to complement it. These range from movement, to manipulation, to murder. You acquire these powers by finding runes, which are a currency scattered around each level, and in Dishonored 2, you can even upgrade each of the powers. This gameplay is extremely freeform, and you have the utmost freedom to progress the level how you want to, and the freedom in combat counters as well. You'd be surprised how much exploration you can actually indulge in, as this game is not open world, it's set levels. Several apartments to barracks to sewers, houses, each level is packed with areas to explore. Even better is that they make the world feel alive too. You can hear NPCs talking to themselves about their plights, or NPC encounters that are just everyday occurrences in this messed up, plague-ridden city. The atmosphere is fantastic. Now, this isn't a major spoiler, so I will say it. In Dishonored 2, you actually have the choice to choose between two playable characters. Corvo, which of course I did in my first time playing it back in 2017, but also Emily. Yes, that Emily. I played as her for my more recent playthrough, and it is interesting because the characters have different dialogue and more interestingly, different powers. Their powers do overlap a little bit in function, but ultimately they are different. One I can point out is that while Corvo's blink can stop you in time and is instant, Emily's far reach does go farther than blink, like a lot farther, and it functions more like a hook that pulls you in. And it can even be used to grab things and people. This adds a whole new level of replayability to the already highly replayable original, and that's not even including the no magic run, as in Dishonored 2 you can choose to reject the magic outright and play the entire campaign without it. Dishonored 2 is a perfect evolution of the original's gameplay. Now, my main critique of the first game's combat is that without upgrading your crossbow to reload fast, and the strong arms bone charm, being an aggro non-lethal is pretty difficult and honestly kinda clunky. But they fixed this in Dishonored 2 where they give you more options to be non-lethal. Which I appreciate because my first time through I always go non-lethal. Now, let me mention bone charms very briefly because they're very simple. Bone charms are how you spec out your character in this game, as there's no skill tree system. Bone charms can range from things like swinging your sword faster, to knocking out people faster, to regenning faster, faster movement, etc. It's basically how you make your character stronger outside of powers and your own skill. You acquire these by just finding them in each level, same as runes. However, in Dishonored 2, you can also craft bone charms, which I'm showing here. Basically how it works is, you take a bone charm that you already have, and you break it down to learn the effect. So right here, I'm pretty much making a super bone charm. All the effects I would ever really need for gameplay. In my opinion, this is an addition that just makes a lot of sense, and they did it well. Replaying this series was a real treat. I forgot how good this gameplay actually was. Now I can confidently say this is one of the best FPS series out there, period. My biggest critiques are related to Dishonored 2, which is on the PC optimization is not the best. You can get 144 FPS, but it does not feel as smooth as Dishonored 1. Dishonored 1 runs like a dream on modern hardware. The only time I had a frame dip was due to me viewing an entire level all at once. Now, I can attribute Dishonored 2's lower frame rate also to them just detailing the art a lot more. The art style is pretty much the same, but there's just more going on, which leads to frame dips. Despite this, however, I would still hit 144 FPS plenty of times, and it simply did not feel how 144 Hz smoothness is supposed to feel. My second critique is that the guards detect you way too easily on very hard. Now, this is not me complaining that the game is too hard, because I play all FPS games on the hardest difficulty. Doom, Wolfenstein, even new Modern Warfare. Okay, that's what I do. This is a genuine critique. While in shadows, and even with the stealth suit that is supposed to make me harder to see in shadows, guards would still detect me almost instantly. It just doesn't make any sense at all, but to be fair, as long as you are above the guards, this usually won't be an issue, as I have been detected above ground, but it usually didn't happen. My third critique is of Death of the Outsider. The story and level design and everything is great, for the most part. And there are new powers too, which is neat. The problem is that they removed the chaos system completely, which sucks, because the chaos system is what made Dishonored unique. If there is to be a Dishonored 3, I would hope that they return, or that they bring back the chaos system. But a 3 would be, it would basically be like a whole different incident, because Death of the Outsider is effectively the end of the Dishonored story as we know it now. Dishonored is one of the best FPS series made, no debate. From several layers of choice to detailed levels and even an interesting story, they hit all the boxes. For the series as a whole, I give it a 9. However, I would like to rate each game individually. Dishonored 1 gets a 9 for me, as it laid the groundwork for the future and it got a lot right on its first time, but ultimately has limitations in the aggro non-lethal playstyle. If there were to be a remaster and they fix this, it would easily be a 10. The Dowd expansions, Knife of Dunwall and Brigmore Witches also get a 9. I put these together because Knife of Dunwall is only like 3 missions, and the story connects with each other, so yeah. It explains what Dowd is doing, and puts way more into perspective than we originally thought when we were just playing through the original game. It was a super interesting storyline and had the solid level design of the original. Dishonored 2 gets a 9 as well. The only thing that really holds this game back is the PC optimization and the near instant detection of the guards that I mentioned earlier. Besides that, this game is excellent. It keeps everything from the original, but added on to it by adding in a whole new playable character with new powers, having much more varied and detailed ending sequence, as well as adding in a new game plus system, which lets you use all the powers no matter what your character is, as well as having access to all the runes you acquired in your last playthrough. I appreciated that last part the most, because at the beginning, I was able to get all the powers I would ever really want and was just able to focus on playing the game. As frankly, I did a lot of exploration on my Dishonored rerun, and I kind of didn't want to do that again, I just wanted to play it. But Dishonored 2's exploration is way deeper than Dishonored, keep that in mind. For example, the way you upgrade your character in Dishonored 2 is through black markets. You can rob every single one of these. Now, Death of the Outsider gets an 8.5. Because while they maintained a lot of the good stuff from Dishonored 2, the removal of the chaos system just doesn't make sense. The chaos system is Dishonored in the way that the calendar system is Persona. Without it, it's just a typical action game. My actions literally have no weight to them, and is by far the smallest of the Dishonored experiences. Only 3 abilities and you can't upgrade them, and in Original Game Plus, you don't get all the abilities, just 3 of Corvo's abilities swapped in. There's also less to explore, but Dowd's expansion was the same. The expansions are more of a narrative experience, so they get a pass on that part. Besides that, it was a great expansion, with new powers for the character, and going more into the backstory of the Outsider. Also, it was a great ending, I'd say. If you haven't played the Dishonored series, I highly recommend it. It's as simple as that. It's too good to pass up this series. With that, thanks for watching.